الله الكبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله الكبير. Again, we are grateful to God for giving us this opportunity, and this is a unique occasion in our lives that we are here and we still have the opportunity to redeem ourselves, and our test is not over yet, and God has seen it fit for us to survive some more time in this world, and so we can actually get to know Him better and become a better servant of God. And so that's a huge honor and blessing that God has bestowed upon us. And so we should be grateful to the source of this blessing that we're receiving today, and make sure that we understand that the source of all of these favors that we are receiving is God and God alone and no one else. And so we should make sure that we are grateful to the source and be appreciative of God's blessings, and make sure that we are appreciative of everything that God is doing for us. Appreciativeness and gratefulness is a godlike quality, and we should follow His path, which is the only path which is going to take us to salvation, and there are no other paths that we can take. This is the only path. The path of God is the only path, and we should remember that. Today what I wanted to discuss with you is that I just want to go to the Quran, and I want to go to, let's see here. Chapter 51. And Chapter 51. Chapter 51. We are let's see, Chapter 51, the blowing winds. And so what I want to do is I want to just share this with you today, and I want to just read this chapter. Okay, the best thing that we can do is read the Quran. Okay, and that is the best thing that we can do. And so God is in this chapter, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the All-Gracious, the All-Merciful. And so, and He tells us, narrates to us the blowing winds. By the blowing winds, carrying heavy loads, bringing prosperity, distributing according to the command. The prosperity that comes from the rain that the blowing winds actually bring is by God's command. Doesn't happen any other ways. Indeed, what is promised is the truth. And indeed, the faith shall be the absolute reality. The faith that we have is an absolute reality. By the vacuum, locusts are weaving orbits. Surely you continue to dispute. Turning away from it is the one who has deviated. Woe to the conjecturers. So the people who just guess. They have no proof, they just guess. Those who blunder and are completely heedless. They ask, when will be the day of the faith? Or of faith. It should be the day of the faith, actually. Okay. That is the day when they will be tormented in hell. Test your torment. This is what you use to challenge. They never believed in it. Okay. Then on the other hand, God has given you the good news. The righteous will indeed abide in paradises with flowing springs. They only take what their Lord gives them. even in heaven, people are not greedy. They are not supposed to be greedy. So greed is a demonic attitude that people have. It's not a righteous act to be craving for things, to be greedy. It's not a righteous act. They only take what the Lord gives them. That is because even prior to this, they were righteous. These are the people who were happy with the way that God was distributing His provisions. They never wanted more. They used to sleep only a little during the night. And before dawn, they asked for forgiveness. And a portion of their money is set aside rightfully for the beggar and the deprived. And within matter, there are proofs for those who have attained certainty, as well as within yourselves. Do you not then see? Don't you just look at your body, how this is designed? Don't you look at matter and see how these atoms are arranged and how they are absolutely obeying the command of God? And in the sky is your provision and that which is promised. Then by the Lord of the vacuum and matter, this is indeed the absolute truth, just like the fact that you indeed speak. Have you heard the story of Abraham's honored guests? When they arrived in his dwelling, they said, "Peace." He said, "Peace, strangers." He then went to his family and returned with a plump calf. He then placed it before them, saying, "Will you not eat?" He developed a fear of them. They said, "Do not be frightened." And they gave him the good news of a knowledgeable son. Then his wife came over, surprised, pointing to her wrinkled face, and said, "I am an old sterile woman." They said, "Thus says your Lord, He is the all-wise, the all-knower." He said, "Then what is your mission, O you messengers?" They said, "We have been dispatched to the guilty people in order to shower them with petrified rocks." They are people of Sodom and Gomorrah, detailed in the Bible. They are marked by your Lord for the transgressors. See, every rock has a mission and a target, and that is only known by God and no one else. We, however, rescue from their midst the faithful. We then found only one house of peace offerers. There's only one house. And we left there a sign for those who fear the painful suffering. And also Moses, we sent him to Pharaoh with a manifest authority. However, he turned away along with his elders and said, "Is he a magician or crazy?" That's how they brand the messengers. We therefore punished him and his armies, and we then threw them into the sea, and he was the one to be blamed. And in Ad, when we sent upon them a devastating wind, it destroyed everything as they were reduced to rubble. And also Thamud, as they were told, enjoyed for a while. But they disobeyed the command of their Lord. We therefore punished them with the bolt of lightning as they were looking. They could not even stand up, nor could they help themselves. Then God is talking about the people of Noah. And so were the people of Noah previously. They were indeed wicked people. And we constructed the vacuum with our hands, and we are indeed expanding it. This is God's law. God's creation is expanding. It never contracts. Something that we have to take to heart. God's creation always expands. There is no end to it. And we adorned matter and shaped it into blessed oasis. And of everything we created a pair, that you may be reminded. Therefore, rush towards God. I am indeed a manifest warner from Him to you. And do not set up another God with God. I am indeed a manifest warner from Him to you. Similarly, there was not a single messenger who went to the previous generations that they did not call a magician or crazy. That's their tactic. Is this what they are advocating? No, indeed, they are rebellious people. Therefore, turn away from them. You are not to be blamed. And remind, for the reminder will benefit the faithful. I did not create the jinns and humans except to worship. This is our function. We have to worship God. That's the reason for our creation. We have to worship God until we attain certainty. I do not want any provision from them, nor do I want any sustenance. Indeed, God is the provider, possessor of power, the strong. Then indeed, the sins of the transgressors are just like the sins of their counterparts. So they should not rush it. Therefore, woe to the unfaithful on the day that is promised to them. Okay. So when we read this, then we learn the lesson that who God is, and what God does, and what our responsibility towards God. That we are responsible for our actions. We cannot get away with murder, so to speak. We have to make sure that we understand it. And the punishment is severe. It's not easy. Because that shows whatever you do has consequences in this world. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think that their transgression against God is limited. Maybe to themselves or something. They're not disturbing anybody. But we are all connected. All of us. And our actions has consequences. And those consequences could go on forever. We have to understand it. Okay. This, I would suggest the following. I would suggest that you go ahead and see what this chapter actually is saying. When God says that He's created a vacuum with His hands, and He expanded it, continue to expand it. Okay. We have to understand that. What is our function? What are we doing? Are we contracting or are we expanding? Are we contributing to the expansion of God's creation? Or we are not? If we are not, we are in opposition to God. We cannot contract. You cannot stay constant. You have to be increasing and increasing and increasing. So, and pay attention to these other verses, what God is telling us. And God is the one who provides for us. He doesn't need our provision. He doesn't need us to feed Him or provide sustenance for Him. We are the one who needs God. Every day of our lives, we are the ones who need God, who needs God. And we should remember this, that we cannot sustain our life even 1 microsecond without God's help or God's will. So the reason that we are here today is exactly that, because this is the will of God that we are here. And He is, out of His infinite generosity, mercy, and love, He's given us another chance to redeem ourselves, to make ourselves better, to be in harmony with the way that He has created things. If we don't do that, we are in opposition to God. And we have to be very careful. Okay? I'm going to stop here and we'll